students, class of 2023. My name is Doug Daniels, class president for the class of 2024. We are thrilled that once again, family and friends of all the students can join us in person for this event. Please rise for the procession of President Fox, Senior Associate Dean Stevens, and the DPT faculty and the DPT students.
Good afternoon. My name is Deborah Diaz. I'm the director of the PT program here. And I also am thrilled to see family and friends back in the atrium for this event. Welcome to the White Coat Ceremony. It's my pleasure to welcome each and every one of you here. And I look forward to the opportunity to coat each of the students. So I am now going to introduce Dr. Sue Stevens, who is the Senior Associate Dean of Academic Affairs for the Murphy-Deming College of Health Sciences.
Thank you. I would just like to add my welcome to everyone here, both in person and those who are joining us through our virtual stream. I am so very thankful we have the technology to allow those who can't attend in person an opportunity to join us on this very important occasion to recognize the transformational moment that we are experiencing today. Many of you may be unfamiliar with a white coat ceremony and why it is important to celebrate this moment as your students is transitioning from a didactic or a classroom student into a clinical student. These students have read, studied, written, practiced, tested, defended, laughed, and probably cried together, well, 6 feet apart together for most of their time here on campus. They have formed strong bonds with each other, with their faculty, and with Mary Baldwin and Murphy-Deming that will endure throughout their career. They are ready for the next step in their journey as a clinical student where they will apply what they have learned and impact patients' lives. The tradition on wearing a white coat began in the late 1800s as doctors wanted to reassure patients that healthcare was based in science, hence lab coat, and clean, hence white, because face it, we all know how hard it is to keep white clean. The coat demonstrated that they were following the newfound hygiene practices of the day, because at this point we had just learned the importance of germs and their importance in disease transmission. As a tradition, tradition developed, the white coat came to separate professionals practicing evidence-based healthcare from the scores of snake oil salesmen that were really common in that day. We've come a long way from washing our hands, though that is still really important. And the coat now represents professionalism, patient-centered and evidence-based care, and being part of a collaborative and interprofessional healthcare delivery team. I especially like the way Dr. Serena Amin described the importance of the white coat and her experience as a medical student. The white coat marks the induction into the profession and the transition to becoming part of the clinical team. It symbolizes the vow to provide a comprehensive and compassionate patient care, the oath to define each patient as a person and not their illness, and the promise to keep the patient's best interest at heart. I am fortunate enough to have the opportunity to talk with our incoming students during orientation, and you may not remember this, especially because I think we were virtual at the time. Much of what we discussed that day. We talked about, and that's really fine, there's no quiz, it's okay. There was lots of policy and rules, cleaning up your social media presence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, really exciting stuff. But we also discussed that your days of being just a student had ended, even on that orientation day before your first class. That you were, in fact, on that day taking your first steps towards becoming a physical therapist. And that we're there to teach you, support, and guide you as you navigated learning the knowledge, skills, and dispositions of becoming a PT. Now, as we stand here with you, as you take this next very important step in that journey. As Dr. Diaz helps you don your white coat for the first time, she represents that mentoring of the faculty who believe in you and your potential moving forward as you continue your journey. Also remember what the white coat itself means. It's more than just white cloth that you put on, but it's really the mantle. Strive to always pursue the tenets of the white coat. Now, I've been long enough to remember when we had triple aim and quadruple aim, and now we're up to 6 aims of healthcare by the National Academy of Medicine, and it serves us as individual providers as well. Be a safe practitioner. Do no harm. It's the Hippocratic Oath, right? We should always strive to do no harm. Be an effective practitioner. Provide care based on the scientific knowledge and evidence that you read and understand and apply and analyze. Also, provide that care to those who need your care and can benefit from your care, but don't provide care to those who are likely to not benefit from that care. Be a patient-centered practitioner. Provide care that is respectful of and responsible to your individual patient's preferences, needs, and values, ensuring that patient values guide all of your clinical decisions. Be an advocate for each individual patient. Be timely in your practice, trying to reduce waits and delays that can sometimes be more than inconvenient, but actually harmful. Be efficient in your practice. Avoid waste in equipment, supplies, ideas, and energy. And provide equitable care to your patients. Providing care that does not vary in quality because of personal characteristics such as gender, ethnicity, geographic location, and socioeconomic status. So, again, congratulations to the PT class of 2023 as you are embarking on this memorable journey. I can't wait to see you all back here in May to hear all of your amazing stories, all the locations you've been, the settings you've seen, what all you have learned, new treatments, care plans, and the types of patients you have treated, and all the exciting opportunities that you've taken advantage of this year. Thank you. And I will now welcome Dr. Corey Woldenberg as the faculty speaker.
I've got to go with my larger font here, I think. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues, class of 2023, family and friends. I'm honored to be the faculty speaker to speak at this momentous white coat ceremony to honor the hard work and perseverance of our class of 2023 as they prepare to begin their final clinical year of our DPT program. I want to congratulate all of you for reaching this very exciting moment in your professional education. And I'd also like to recognize the work of your class officers who put together this beautiful event. Thank you. So to my endless enjoyment, and to what I assume is the profound annoyance of my students, I have a 3.5-year-old who loves Daniel Tiger. I'm sure the students can recall a few times I've played a clip or a song in the moments leading up to class, or thrown in a Daniel Tiger quote along the way. And in fact, I have a little tiny Daniel Tiger on my office door from when the students decorated it, so thank you very much for that. So I'm going to tell a story about Daniel Tiger. In one particular episode, Daniel and his neighbors lived through a particularly harrowing storm, damaging storefronts and the town center clock tower, and absolutely terrifying poor Daniel. To comfort Daniel, his father tells him to always look for the helpers. There's a whole song that goes along with this, but I will spare you that gem. In the end, Daniel is not just comforted by looking for the helpers, he's empowered to jump in and help his community clean up. When you put on this white coat today, you are telling the world that you are a helper. And most of you probably won't don your white coat for day-to-day practice, but people will from now on see you as a helper and look to you. You are taking on the amazing responsibility, the awesome opportunity to reach into someone's life and make it better, to bring someone comfort in a time of struggle or pain, and to empower them to jump in and help themselves too. And we are not a profession typically associated with a white coat. Most times, a physical therapist in the clinic could just be another very well-dressed person walking down the street. In the hospital, in our scrubs, we could be any team member. The white coat is a beautiful symbol of duty and professionalism in healthcare, but as physical therapists, no matter what we wear, we display our excellence in our actions, our knowledge in our hands, and our compassion on our faces. This ceremony is your rite of passage from student to clinician, to professional, to helper. And you deserve every moment of pride and the weight of responsibility that comes along with this white coat. You know, Mr. Rogers, who, if you don't know, created the character Daniel Tiger, and who originally said, always look for the helpers, suggested that if news programs focused more on helpers during catastrophes, the community would always know that there is hope. And hope can do an awful lot when people are suffering and don't know how to heal or how to move forward. Whether on a small scale or a large one, whether you are in your white coat or not, bring hope to your patients, bring hope to your community by staying passionate, devoted, and client-centered. I know I say it a lot, and I know other faculty say it too. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So care deeply, care openly, care with your whole heart and every fact and stat that you've stored in your brain these past 2 years. Look at every person you encounter as a whole and beautiful human being. Offer them everything you have to offer as a physical therapist. Let them see that you are a helper, white coat on or not. And perhaps most importantly, care with humility, and don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. The work we do as physical therapists is not always easy. We can't always help as much or in the way that we would like, but from the little victories to the giant triumphs, from the quiet shortfalls to perhaps thundering losses, through it all, hold on to knowing that you have worked hard. You know your stuff, but there is always more to learn. Step forward into your clinical careers with confidence and pride, but also humility and grace. Being inquisitive and thoughtful does wonders for Daniel Tiger, and I encourage you to be the same. These past 2 years have not been easy on so many levels. You boldly stepped forward to take on a doctoral program in the height of a pandemic. You have persevered, you've studied, and you've grown. You've worked really hard to get to this point. This next year will provide you with new and different challenges. We may think you've come a long way so far, and you most certainly have, but just you wait. There is endless learning that comes along with this profession. So go into these clinical experiences with wide open arms, eyes, ears, and minds. Dive deep into the complexity of the work we do and never stop asking questions. Let yourself celebrate your successes, but also appreciate your failures and the growth opportunities they provide. Always try to remember your why, when the days feel long or the losses feel overwhelming. Enjoy the journey of learning and try not to let it overwhelm you. Remember the old saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Or if you're Daniel Tiger, when something seems hard to do, try it a little bit at a time. I can't tell you how hard it is not to sing that. And keep an eye out for your own helpers. Seek out mentors, rely on colleagues. Remember that burnout in the health professions is a very real thing. And take time to figure out what makes you happy, what motivates you, and what brings you peace. And to throw in another Daniel Tiger quote, when you're feeling frustrated, take a step back and ask for help. Stay connected and support each other, not just in this final year, but after school, when you land wherever it is that you're going to land. Let Murphy Deming and your time here as a cohort be the roots to the wings you're spreading today. And don't forget about your helpers back here in the halls of Murphy Deming. Your faculty celebrate you as you launch into your final clinical year. You're prepared and capable. And if you maintain a growth mindset and that beautiful resilience you've shown over the last 2 years, I know you will fly. Congratulations. At this point, I'd like to invite student speaker, Mr. Ryan Dawson.
So, I would like to begin my speech by saying that I'm incredibly honored to have the opportunity to address you all, the faculty, the family and friends, and most importantly, the DPT class of 2023 on this momentous day in our careers, our white coat ceremony. As both Dr. Stevens and Dr. Woldenberg said, this ceremony marks the end of our didactic or classroom experience and the true beginning of our clinical experience. And with the pandemic having impacted so many events and ceremonies over the past couple of years, for some of us, this is the first ceremonial acknowledgement of our educational success, even since our high school graduation. But even for those of us that is not the case for, this is still likely the most important day in our professional development thus far. So again, I'm incredibly honored to be here. I'd like to thank the DPT faculty for coming here, for sharing their experience and their expertise, and for helping to shape us into the professionals we are today. I'd like to thank all the family, guests, friends, whether here or viewing the live stream, for helping us to celebrate this important occasion. And I'd like to thank everybody that has spoken or who will speak tonight for being a part of this ceremony and for your kind, encouraging words. So, if you know me, you know that I prepare for everything, and for many things, likely to the point of over-preparation. I'd say this speech fell well within that category of over-preparation, as so many things have over the past couple of years, although I wasn't quite as prepared as Dr. Woldenberg to bring visual aids. I read graduation speeches, white coat ceremony speeches, really speeches of any ceremony, even remotely celebratory of some accomplishment. And time again, as I read those speeches, I read of all the hard work that went into getting to that point. And while the first few were very inspiring, the next few became more lackluster to me. And then by the end, I realized that most people, I feel like, in those rooms had a pretty solid idea of the work that went into getting to that point. And while I can't say that's true for all ceremonies, for this ceremony, especially with the limited number of guests, I feel that's very true. Whether it be the DPT faculty through their own PT school experience, the family and friends and other guests throughout crying, griping, and complaining, or for us, simply having lived the past 2 years. And with the hard work being all the last 2 years have been, and really with plenty more to come between the boards and our 2 long-term clinicals, I'd like to spend the next few minutes to remind you all of how far we've come and where we're going. I took the moment to just stop and think about our growth, really where I started and where I am now, multiple times when writing this speech. And in doing so, I gained a much deeper appreciation for how far we really have come over the past couple of years. I encourage you all to do the same in the coming days, as I think you'll find the same thing. But as I did that, and as you do it, I'm sure you'll find some things that I thought as well. So, for example, the first thing I remembered was that massively overwhelming feeling of being here the first couple of days, just 2 years and 2 months ago, give or take. And I think you all will remember that as well, whether it be the daunting commitment of nearly 2 years full of didactic coursework, the sheer volume of information that we had to know for our first exam in just 2 weeks' time, or maybe other more personal reasons. I think to some degree we all felt that. Then I know at least some of you will recall how awkward and uncertain we were in those first anatomy and palpation labs with Dr. Fontenot in the fall of our first semester. And then I'm certain all of you will remember, and you may never forget, how nervous we were for our first few practical exams. But over the past 2 years, that palpable level of uncertainty, awkwardness, and nervousness has faded significantly. We've all developed our own means or method of preparing for work before it arrives well enough to avoid that crushing feeling of being overwhelmed, at least as well as you can in grad school. As I know anybody here who's been to grad school knows, that's pretty much impossible to completely avoid. Our manual skills have progressed leaps and bounds as we've come so far from those anatomy and palpation labs to having skilled therapeutic touch. And as we've grown more confident in our skills and our knowledge, we've grown less and less nervous with exams, whether written or practical. So, in my reflection of our growth, and having done it so often, I can say with absolute confidence that I have witnessed an immense amount of growth in all of us over the past 2 years. Growth that needed to happen for us to become professionals and to serve patients daily. Growth that had to occur for us to transition from students to competent and confident clinicians. Growth that I am beyond proud of, and you all should be proud of as well. So in closing, what I would ask of you all is that you remember that growth and be confident that that foundation is good and solid to build upon. I ask that as we begin our transition from academic students to clinicians, wow, nice, and as physical therapists, that we treat that job not as a routine day in and day out job, not as a means of making ends meet, but as a way to change lives. And I don't mean in some grandiose fashion where a patient walks into your clinic in pain and anguish and leaves a healed individual with not a worry in the world. Not in one session, but in a more subtle way. Through consistency and staying true to values that led you to pursue a career in healthcare in the first place. I urge you all to be excellent professionals by exuding confidence in all of the knowledge that we have acquired over the past 2 years, while being humble enough to admit what you don't know and use every resource available to you to find those answers when that is what best serves your patients. I urge you all to be responsible and accountable professionals by showing up to the clinic, acknowledging and acting on the fact that your attitude and your actions are well within your control and dictate your environment. And lastly, I urge all of you to practice compassion and empathy every single day and every step of your life. Treat every single person and every single patient with the same respect, compassion, and care that you would demand your best from receive in their time of need. From what I've learned of all of you over the past 2 years, I have no doubt that if we promise ourselves to do those things starting now, beginning with our 2 long-term clinicals, through graduation and ultimately to retirement, the 30 of us here will without a doubt change innumerable lives for the better. So relish this celebration of another large step in the direction of our success. Every one of us has earned it. I would now like to welcome Dr. Diaz and Dr. Fontenot for the donning of the white coats.
The time is here. All right. Anybody find the class of 23? Because I don't recognize these guys. Holy smoke, you guys look amazing. All right, here we go. First up, Ms. Maliha Ahmed. Brenna Allowance. Christopher Bennett. Oh. Yeah. Sure. There you go. Excellent. Nicole Blackburn. Zach Canova. Megan Capola. Paulo Cruz. Looking sharp. Sharp. Like the bow tie. Oh. Ryan Dawson. Brian Espinoza. Love those shoes. Elizabeth Firth. Miss Raven Giles. Kiera Henderson. Ms. Camille Krutzinger. Katie Keene. Nancy Kuhn. Alyssa Linnerman. Miss Megan McNally. Mr. Tony Wynn. Mr. Daniel Quillen. Miss Audrey Roach. Mr. Quasi Smith. Good stuff. Miss Lauren Stroman. Miss Bridget Swift. Mr. Mitchell Terry. Mr. Andrew Juliana. The bow tie, look sharp. Love it. Miss Molly Walter. Mr. Matt Weber. Mr. Raphael Yu. Mr. Vincent Zong. Look his hair. It's beautiful. Miss Elaine Zhu. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, class of 23, white coat ceremony. Dr. Diaz will now lead them in the physical therapy oath.
So yes, class of 2023, let's rise and let's recite the oath together. So as a physical therapist dedicated to providing the highest quality of care and services, I solemnly pledge I will respect the rights and dignity of all individuals who seek my service or with whom I work. Act in a compassionate and trustworthy manner in all aspects of my services. Exercise sound, professional judgment while abiding by legal, ethical requirements. Demonstrate integrity during interactions with colleagues and other healthcare professionals. Thank you. You may be seated. And I lost my place when I turned the page and you guys just kept going, and good for you. That just shows me that you're just going to keep going and work so hard toward graduation in the next several months. Thank you once again to our speakers, Dr. Woldenberg, Dr. Stevens, and almost Dr. Dawson. Congratulations to all of you almost doctors, less than a year away. And I look forward to welcoming you back to Mary Baldwin University in May to hear your defense of your doctoral projects, to have some really fun experiences in that last week, and then finally to watch you walk across the dais as new doctors of physical therapy. Thank you to the family and friends who have joined us in person and online. And this concludes our ceremony. The class of 23 will now process.